Welcome back, Mando.
Oh, greetings, Bucketheads. Mavar Tagar. Welcome to our 343rd Rebel Fleet A-Blasting episode of Mandovision. I am your host, Nargai Tom, and thank you so much for checking out this small independent Star Wars podcast. We're so glad you're here. Find us on those socials, Mando_Vision, Twitter/X and Insta. Email the show, MandovisionTom. Oh yeah, MandovisionTom@gmail.com. And I'm also on Blue Sky at Mandovision. Hit us up. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share those shows with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, Buckethead Nation, we are back. We are rocketing towards the end, the finale of Season 3 of Star Wars Rebels. And we're on the precipice, the edge, the Battle of Lothal. Not so fast, my friends, as they've been teasing this and building this out for many, many episodes now. Well, everything else comes to a head as well, because Thrawn has smoked out his traitor, and now it's time to bait the hook and find out where the Rebel base is at, and to unleash the Empire upon them. And that's where we are with today's episodes. So it's a two-parter. We're going to be talking about part 1 exclusively today in this episode, and then we'll be back to wrap up Season 3 next time, possibly next week. As you listen to this podcast, we are heading right into the heart of Christmas season of Hanukkah happening. So happy holidays to those who celebrate. Hope you are all having a wonderful, safe, and fun holiday season. But let's go ahead and get the episode particulars for this one out of the way, and we're going to dive into the conversation. This is Star Wars Rebels 0 Hour Part 1. Original air date March 25th, 2017. It is Season 3, Episode 21. The plot for this week: the Rebels make their final preparations for the attack on Lothal, but Grand Admiral Thrawn threatens to undo all that they have built. Our primary cast for this week: Taylor Gray is Ezra Bridger, Vanessa Marshall is Harrison Dula, Freddie Prinze Jr. is Kanan Jarrus, Steve Blum is Zeb Aurelios, Dave Filoni is Chopper, D. Bradley Baker is Admiral Constantine, David Oyelowo is Agent Callus, Tom Baker is the Bendu, Keon Young as Commander Sato, Michael Bell as General Dodonna, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is Governor Price, Lars Mikkelsen as Grand Admiral Thrawn, Stephen Stanton is Moff Tarkin, Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma, Clancy Brown as Ryder Azadi, and Nathan Kress as Wedge Antilles in a very, very, very tiny role. All right, the episode is directed by Justin Ridge, written by Stephen Melsheen. Let's go ahead. Let's get into it. It's time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
General Dodonna, Commander Sato, Captain Syndulla. At last we meet in this theater of war, however briefly. There is no escape, and your forces are badly outnumbered. This rebellion ends today.
We'll never surrender to you, Thrawn.
You misunderstand, Captain. I'm not accepting surrenders at this time. I want you to know failure, utter defeat, and that it is I who delivers it crashing down upon you. Now, let us proceed.
All right, we open the episode returning to Lothal. Thrawn arrives to deliver important news to Governor Price. Now, it is actual news, but he's there. He's smoking out Fulcrum. He knows there's a traitor in their midst, and he will find this traitor. Now, at the same time, Fulcrum, a.k.a. Agent Callus, is hard at work controlling a mouse droid to be able to eavesdrop on the secret meeting between Admiral Constantine, Governor Price, and Thrawn. And through the course of this meeting, we discover that Thrawn's spies have learned that General Dodonna will be meeting up with the so-called Phoenix Squadron. and that they will be launching a massive attack on Lothal. They call in Moff Tarkin, let him know of the news that, hey, guess what? My TIE Defender plant here on Lothal is the target of a major rebel operation. Again, this would be the first major unified rebel operation, right? If it were to happen, but we know that's not canon. That's not true. So something's going to change, and in fact, it does. Now, Moff Tarkin wants the leadership of the rebellion to be caught and captured once Thrawn gets done determining where the base is at. And Thrawn, I don't know, he's not going to make any promises. He's like, in this kind of battle, I may not have time to round up the rebel leadership, but Tarkin, quite insistent, believes that a man of Thrawn's talents will be able to do both things, crush the rebels and capture their leadership so they can be made examples of. We shall see. Now, Kallus, hearing the news, takes off to Ezra's old location, which is where Fulcrum broadcasts from when there's a message to deliver to the rebels. And as Fulcrum fires up the device, as soon as he begins speaking, he realizes he's being jammed. And Thrawn opens the door and stands there, Kallus revealed as Fulcrum, as the traitor to the Empire. Interesting that Thrawn deals with himself. At this point, they hadn't introduced Rook into the equation of the show yet. But Thrawn gets involved, gets his hands dirty. And by the way, Thrawn arriving on Lothal flanked by Death Troopers, so that's exciting. We also get to see more of them in just a few minutes after some hand-to-hand combat between Kallus and Thrawn. Kallus is able to get some blows in there, but Thrawn seems to be the superior hand-to-hand fighter, as we saw demonstrated against those battle droids he was fighting before. Not battle droids, you know what I mean. Those Dark Trooper-esque droids that he had in his office. So, Kallus captured the wisp of hair in front of Kallus's eyes. As we see, he's not the cold Imperial at heart anymore. He's a rebel at heart, and Thrawn even says as much. But during the combat, Kallus was able to destroy the signal jammer. So the first part of his message did make its way out. Now, the bad news is Thrawn will be able to use this to pinpoint the location of the rebel base. But at the same time, the rebels do get word that Thrawn knows where they are, so they can begin preparations to evacuate. General Dodonna is there at Atollon. His fleet has emerged. They're called the Masasi Group, which I thought was a fun nod to the rebels on Yavin. And again, this is sort of a major combined effort here. One of the first organized efforts of the rebellion is going to be this plan on Lothal. But now it is all for naught, which again works out for continuity because we know what the first major combined assault on the Empire turns out to be. And yeah, it's not long before Thrawn determines where Atollon is, and he reveals it to Kallus. He's like, yeah, you may have gone in and deleted the location of Atollon from Imperial star charts, but I have studied the art of the people of this sector of space, and they refer to a planet that is not listed on our charts, a planet known as Atollon. So he knows where to go, he knows where to find them, and as the rebels begin to evacuate, an Imperial blockade emerges from hyperspace to make sure they can't go anywhere. Now, at the same time on Atollon, the rebels are preparing to fight to evacuate. Hera wants Kanan and Ezra to escape, to go get help. They're going to need help. They need to escape. They need to spread word of what's going on. Kanan can't go. So it's on Ezra alone to try and escape the blockade in Maul's former ship. And Kanan is going to ride out into the wild to find the Bendu because he believes the Bendu can aid them in this battle against the Empire. Now, from this point on, we get some great combat, space combat, cutting between the rebel forces and the Imperial perspective as well. Thrawn's cold, calculated, tactical decisions versus the rebels' sort of desperate maneuvering and attempts to escape. It becomes very much Empire Strikes Back at this point as they attempt to flee Atollon and not engage with the Empire at this point. Let's tackle this kind of like one at a time because it takes Kanan a while to persuade Bendu. And persuade isn't exactly what he does, despite the fact that Kanan claims to be a persuasive fella. He goes out there And despite his pleas for help, despite his pleas that the Bendu can no longer be the person in between, the being in between, he has to make a choice. He has to make a stand. He can't just let bad things happen in the galaxy and say, well, it's the will of the Force. Kanan is attempting to provoke him into action. And he does provoke him into action, probably, possibly, not the way he intended. But it is an interesting conversation between the two characters. Again, Bendu trying to claim his neutrality, trying to say that he won't get involved. He doesn't want to be part of these petty battles. And Kanan, for the longest time, trying to urge him that because he has the powers that he has the responsibility to use them to protect good from evil, to aid good from evil. And it isn't until Kanan kind of sort of throws down the gauntlet and just calls Bendu a coward, a yellow-bellied, yellow-livered, lily-livered coward, that the Bendu becomes full of rage and seems to become involved? ? We sort of are left hanging as a storm swirls about the Bendu and he disappears, leaving Kanan there alone. And we're not quite sure what's going to happen next. Meanwhile, the space combat, which is so good. Really stellar space combat in this episode. And the rebels are being routed. Thrawn is routing the rebel fleet. Now, he believes this is the entire rebel fleet. So the groups involved, Phoenix Squadron and the Massassi group, are sort of keen to keep that the belief. They don't want them to know that there still are many more rebel cells. Now, not many, but many enough that the rebel cells won't die here. Again, the blockade is holding, but there is a line earlier in the episode when Thrawn is issuing his orders, when Thrawn is laying out the plan, that Admiral Constantine is to remain positioned where he is with his interdictor ship to make sure that no rebels can escape the system. Constantine doesn't like this plan. He's not in favor of it. That means he's basically sitting on the sidelines while Thrawn takes all the glory. And as we've learned, Imperial admirals and captains and commanders, they are looking for glory. So sitting on the sidelines will not... Constantine will only do it for so long, basically, while Thrawn will get all the credit. Now, Thrawn says it. He's not looking for credit. He just merely desires results for his emperor. But Constantine can't let that stand. So even as the battle's going their way, Admiral Sato makes a decision as things seem impossible, as the fate of the rebellion seems to be crumbling around them, as this fleet is getting, again, just whooped. They're getting destroyed, demolished. Thrawn is handing them their booty. Sato makes a decision. He makes a run for one sector of space. And Constantine can't resist the bait. It's a capital ship. He wants some credit in this battle. So he moves his interdictor cruiser out of position, which creates an opening. And as he heads towards Sato's ship, Sato, who has evacuated his ship, he remains there with two dedicated crew members. Lowly is a bad word. They're dedicated to the cause. They make an evasive not an evasive maneuver. They make a suicide run onto the interdictor cruiser. Constantine realizes too quickly, tries to go into evasive maneuvers, but far too late. Sato crashes through the interdictor, creating a pocket for Ezra to escape into and attempt to get help, reinforcements. Ezra makes his call. He jumps in hyperspace, makes his call to Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma says she can't. It was too soon for an organized rebel attack on the Empire. Bail Organa was right. We shouldn't have done this. We weren't ready yet. And there's nothing she can do because she has to protect the rebels that are still out there. She can't draw more people into this and get them killed or captured. She promises to sue for peace and fair treatment for the prisoners that Thrawn will surely take. That's not good enough for Ezra. Ezra knows he has one hope, and one hope only. Sabine Wren. So he's going to make his way to Crow's Nest and to rally the Mandalorians. Meanwhile, the rebel fleet, again, routed by Thrawn. Thrawn, he's feeling himself. Everything's gone almost exactly to plan. One rebel ship escaped due to Constantine's foolishness and poor judgment. But the rebels are returning to Atollon for a stand on the planet, which means ground forces will be deployed. And that's sort of where we leave things, right? Now, again, dramatically speaking, the last shot we see is Ezra deciding that it's time to go get Sabine and bring her back home, back to her adopted family, with the Mandalorians in tow. And it hits on a high note. But the Empire Strikes Back of it all is watching the Rebel fleet turn and return to Atollon, head back to the surface of the planet, and Thrawn on the precipice of a great victory, knowing that they have no hope left, but also knowing that one ship made its way out of the system. So we are left in a bit of a precarious spot. Again, Thrawn and the Empire on the verge of wiping out a massive share of Rebel fleets. Two cells, basically. Two cells. Well, let's put it that way. The Massassi group and Phoenix Squadron. They're on their heels. And I think Thrawn knows that a ground assault is not going to go well for the Rebels. And meanwhile, just as an aside, Callus is bearing witness to all this. He's a prisoner on the bridge of the ship, witnessing the destruction of the Rebel fleet, and quite appalled by what he's seen, the way the Rebels are being routed, the way Thrawn is just viciously destroying these ships. But again, you see him sort of appreciate Commander Sato's last stand and making that suicide run against the Interdictor so that one ship could escape, so that the dream could go on. It's a great episode. Again, I urge you to watch the space combat. A lot of good stuff with the Y-Wings. We get to see TIE bombers doing TIE bomber things in space instead of just blowing up asteroids like an Empire. I really enjoyed the combat in this. Good stuff. This is a really solid episode. Again, big Empire feels. We're incorporating, Kevin Kiner incorporating more of the familiar Star Wars themes musically into the episode. It hits really hard. It's 9 buckets. 9 big buckets of awesome Star Wars. And that's where we're going to leave it, right on the edge. And we'll be back really, really soon to wrap this one up. I don't know if I can wait a whole week to drop it. Maybe I'll drop it right before. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I got to see how the calendar lines up. Because, with the holidays, things get a little crazy around here. So, that being said, 9 buckets for this episode. A lot hinges on what happens in the next installment. The Battle of Lothal is off, friends. It is off. They teased it, but we don't get it. Not for another season. And with that being said, let's get out of here. You know what to do. This is the Mandovision Podcast. I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you again for supporting our small independent Star Wars podcast. Hit us up on those socials, Mando_Vision on X and Insta, Mandovision at Blue Sky, and you can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. If possible or so inclined, sweet 5-star reviews. They help us out a bunch, and we couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you for being awesome people, Buckethead Nation. I wouldn't be here without you all. Go out into the world, be great Star Wars fans, kind, supportive, understanding, respectful, tolerant, and willing to engage with even the silliest of Star Wars theories with a smile on your face, especially at this time of the holiday season where we sit around the tables with our families and engage in just intense Star Wars debates. But we're going to do it nicely, politely, without hurting each other physically or emotionally. All right, Bucketheads, we will be back next week for another exciting installment of our Star Wars Rebels rewatch. But in the meantime, remember this podcast, it only ends one way, my friends. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Admiral, we have enemy ships in Sector 47.
It's a trap!